And we begin tonight with the government funding nightmare before Christmas, which may just have been averted, all thanks to the Democrats. Just hours before the government was set to shut down at midnight, the House finally passed a spending bill with 366 voting yes and 34 no votes, all of which came from Republicans. This bill was the Republican majority's Plan C, since the original bipartisan deal was tanked by Elon Musk and his junior partner, Donald Trump. And then the backup plan that Trump endorsed went down in flames, with 38 of his own Republicans voting against it. What this new plan includes is basic government funding until mid-March, plus disaster relief and assistance for farmers. Basically, what they attempted to pass yesterday, minus the debt limit extension, which, by the way, is what Trump, their supposed leader, was demanding. But we're not totally out of the woods just yet. This bill still needs to go through the Senate, which in the current Congress is still controlled by the Democrats. And only then would it go to the White House for a signature from President Biden. As everybody, House and Senate and White House are literally on the brink of leaving town for the holidays. But this is certainly a good sign for the millions of federal workers, from U.S. troops to TSA agents, who, if the government did shut down, would either be furloughed or forced to work without pay just days before the holidays. Joining me now from Capitol Hill is NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Surkin. Julie, Plan C, give us the backgrounder on how it finally got to the floor to be able to be passed, mainly by Democrats.
You know, Joy, I'd go as far as to say this was actually Plan D, because 7 hours ago, when House Republicans huddled behind closed doors, the idea was actually to have 3 separate votes on all of these pieces. Ultimately, they decided that they need Democrats to get any of this across the finish line anyway, so they bundled it all together, put it as a package on the floor without that debt limit hike, literally an 11th hour ask from the president-elect, and they muscled it through. But I will tell you that yesterday you had 38 Republicans who voted against Plan B. Today you had 34 Republicans who voted against Plan C or D, whatever we're calling it, and you had this vote that essentially got over the finish line by Democrats who carried it, none of them voting against this bill, 194 of them or even more voting to keep the government open, to keep the lights on. Now this goes over to the Senate side, where the sleigh bells are fuming, everybody wants to get out of town. But the next question is certainly what happens to House Speaker Mike Johnson's future. He joked after the vote that he even brought up to Elon Musk, hey, buddy, do you want to be Speaker? And then Musk told him it seems like the hardest job in the world. I chased Johnson to his office and I asked him, do you even want this job, given how chaotic the last 36 hours have been without Trump even on the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue? And he told me, look, being Speaker is a challenge in the modern era. Those were his words. He said that it's a great honor to serve in this position. He did say he wouldn't say it's the most fun job in the world, but he said that, yes, he's ready to be Speaker again and that everybody's going to rest over the holiday break and they're going to come back in January prepared to do the hardest work of their lives, and it will be the hardest work of their lives.
He says that he still wants a job, and I apologize to the audience for all the noise. It sounds like lots of people are chatting around you, Julie, but and what are the signs that he can be Speaker? It's really not up to him, is it?
It's not. And again, you had 34 Republicans who voted against this plan, one that Trump seemingly endorsed, or at least didn't stand in the way of. But certainly because of this whole debacle, remember this bill went from nearly 1,600 pages to now under 200 pages, and everything that happened in the last 36 hours, a lot of people are pointing fingers, and they only have one person they can point that finger on it and blame successfully, and that is Speaker Mike Johnson. However, if Trump still backs him, which it sounds like he does, if Musk backs him and won't send the ex-warriors to come after him, then certainly his job is safe, but that doesn't mean that House Republicans are happy with him. There are many, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, who said earlier today, still floating Vivek Ramaswamy or Elon Musk as Speaker. I don't think anyone else in this body wants the job. But again, you don't have to be a member of the House to be Speaker. By all accounts, though, Speaker Mike Johnson still wants that gavel.
What a world. What a time to be alive. NBC's Julie Surkin, thank you, and thank you for putting up with all the noise around you in order to get that information to us. Let's bring in Democratic Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal of Washington. Congresswoman, what a mess, I guess, is the sort of simple way to put it. From your read, as you're talking to your colleagues, both in the Democratic Party and Republican colleagues, who is actually in charge? Is it Elon Musk? Is it Donald Trump? Because it certainly doesn't seem to be Mike Johnson.
Well, look, Joy, first of all, I think it's Hakeem Jeffries who is the person that literally makes this happen, right? It is Hakeem Jeffries and Democrats who have bailed out Republicans again and again and again when they fracture, and they have embarrassing situations like they did on the floor yesterday where they're in the majority. They put up a bill that contains that 11th hour demand from Donald Trump, and they can't even get a majority of votes for that bill. And so I think the question you're asking is really important, because as we go into a Republican trifecta, who is Mike Johnson actually negotiating with? Is it the president-elect Donald Trump, or is it the shadow president, Elon Musk? That's question number one. Question number two is what happens when it is a Republican trifecta? Because Democrats will not. It's a different situation when you have divided government, because actually, in this bill, there is so much good stuff that we were able to get in it: childcare, housing investments, as well as the things that you mentioned. And so it's a little bit more complicated when you have, a divided government where you are able to get some things in, but then there are other things that, that are harder to get in. In this case, we were able to get this ridiculous, crazy 11th hour demand out, and we were able to keep all the good things in. When it's a Republican trifecta, they will have to produce the votes, all of the votes, for anything they want to do. And we have seen over and over again, they can't keep government open. I'm not sure they can elect a speaker. We may have another 15 rounds of voting for a speaker. Who knows? But when you have 34, 38 Republicans who are splitting from you, that is a real problem. It shows you can't govern. It shows what a fractured coalition you have. And I think Democrats just have to really be steely-spined as we go into this next term, and we have to really stick together and just say no to the things that they are going to do that are going to benefit Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, that's calling the shots for Republicans, and going to hurt working people and poor people across this country.
So one of the ways in which Republicans defied Donald Trump, 170 of them that voted for this bill, and again, it was 190 or more Democrats are the ones who really carried the bill, but the ones who did vote for it were defying Donald Trump. He wanted a debt limit increase in the bill. He wanted the debt ceiling to be done under President Biden, not under him. He did not get that. They completely defied him. But Mike Johnson made this sort of vague promise that they were going to give them $2.5 trillion in debt reduction. You really can't do that without cutting things like Social Security and Medicare and eating into things that are really actually important to Americans. What are Democrats thinking y'all are going to be facing in the minority in January in terms of what they want to cut?
Well, exactly right. They had to Donald Trump had to back down. He did not win this fight. Donald Trump and Elon Musk lost this fight to get us to suspend the debt ceiling so that they could pass Trump tax scam 2.0, right? And send all of this huge amounts of money, trillions of dollars, to the wealthiest 1% and screw everybody else who's actually going to end up paying for that bill. We said no to that. So as we go into the next year, we have to take a lesson from this. First of all, we should not back down from really fighting for working people and poor people. We cannot be in the position where we got to make up for their stuff. Number two, they have to stay and push all of this stuff through. Can't do it for them.
Yeah. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, thank you so much. Much appreciated. I appreciate your time. And joining me now is Charlie Dent, former Republican congressman from Pennsylvania. Charlie, thank you and welcome to the show. This is a conundrum. This is Sahil Kapoor, our really great congressional reporter. He says Wednesday, Trump threatens to primary any Republican who votes for a clean continuing resolution without a debt limit extension. Friday, 170 Republicans vote for a clean continuing resolution without a debt limit extension. The bill passes overwhelmingly. It does feel like Donald Trump has been sidelined to some extent by his funder, Elon Musk. Is that the way you see it?
Well, I certainly think that Elon Musk kneecapped Speaker Johnson with an assist from Donald Trump. And it seems to me that Elon Musk got out in front of Donald Trump on this whole continuing resolution compromise, which if I'm Donald Trump, I can't be too happy about. So I think that there's going to be an inevitable collision between these two very strong personalities. We can't have two people acting as commander in chief, essentially, at a time like this. And of course, Donald Trump, sorry about my light here. There you go. But so Donald Trump, there you go again. Donald Trump and Musk are bound for a collision course. And I should say one other thing, too. We're in this whole mess to begin with, Joy, because, the Congress should have passed all 12 appropriations bills before Christmas. But it was the hardliners in the House Republican Conference and Donald Trump who said, let's kick this all into the new year, to the middle of March. They got their way. And then 2 days ago, President Trump said, well, we need a debt ceiling increase. Well, they should have begun that conversation immediately after the election. And of course, the Democrats are never going to concede to that in the 11th hour because they're going to use it as leverage, just as the Republicans have. And by the way, when they use this as leverage, either side, they're taking a hostage that they will never shoot because no one will ever crash through the debt ceiling. That said, I mean, it was unreasonable to demand a debt ceiling increase in 24 hours.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling with whiplash right now because of all this back and forth. But the reality is there are not 218 House Republicans who will vote for a continuing resolution or a debt ceiling. So therefore, they need Democrats to vote for these bills that must become law.